Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Mira Manga YouTube channel. And I'm so excited because Kim Taylor Foster is back. Hello, Kim.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having me back.
Oh, it's so good to have you back. The last time I saw Kim, we went down to Hastings, me and my friend Sam and my godsons, to see your amazing record shop. Do you want to tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that?
Well, it's coffee and records. We moved down, me and my husband, about 4 years ago now, with the intention of opening this place on the coast, and it's come to fruition.
Yeah.
It's our little dream, and it's going really well. So, we're gearing up for Record Store Day, which is next month. So,
Oh my God, that's going
um,
to be so busy for you.
it will be, yes.
Yeah, and your shop is called Dark Circles, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Thank you for putting that in.
It feels very Lynchian, the title, the name of your shop.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I can't say that's where it came from, but as soon as it was, and it wasn't me that came up with it, it was Adam. But as soon as he mentioned it, I went, yes,
Yes,
that's perfect. So,
that's the one.
and you can figure out what Dark Circles refers to on Records Coffee,
Yeah.
several levels.
Yay.
I've just given it all away, so I've not left it to you to
Well,
figure out.
as well as coffee and records, you love movies. And
Yes,
let's get to the meat of this feast.
yes,
We are here.
yes. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, so I'm also, as well as a coffee and record shop owner, a film and TV journalist officially, and I've written a couple of books, and I think we said that last time, but
We
we'll
did.
leave it there.
But we'll pull out loads of stuff at the end, including our baby Yoda mugs. And you can pull out your books then as well, please.
Yeah.
Lovely. And you can tell us the next book you're writing. Um,
Okay.
but we both love Dune.
Yes.
I love David Lynch. You love David Lynch.
Yes.
Um, do you love director of this Dune? Are
I
you?
do. I mean, I do. I really do. And when after I'd watched the part one, it really cemented for me that he was a brilliant director. Um, the one film of his that I was not sold on, which a lot of people love though, is Arrival. I still feel that way, but otherwise, I think he is just brilliant. I've interviewed him before and found him um brilliant and humble and wonderful. So very much, I've got a lot
Yeah.
of admiration for that man. Yes. What about you?
Um, I I didn't know he did Arrival. That's terrible, isn't it? Uh,
What the
Was Timothy Chalamet in Arrival?
no,
Okay,
no. Or was it? I'm thinking maybe he had a really small role,
I get
but
mixed up with Signs, Contact, Arrival. Are you with me? Are you following me on this journey?
yeah, yeah,
Is a
yeah.
is Arrival the one with Matthew McConaughey?
No.
What's the one with Matthew McConaughey and the corn?
Uh,
No,
the
and
cool was
then
he?
what?
He wasn't in Signs. He wasn't in Signs. That's Joaquin Phoenix. You're thinking of Christopher Nolan and the name of that film, which has escaped me. I've gone blank. Christopher Nolan film.
It's
When the time of it.
yes, and Anne Thingamabob's in it. I dreamed a dream of years gone by. That's what people
But
come
you're mixing in another film on top of those three.
in. Contact is
Interstellar, Interstellar.
Interstellar. That's what people come to this channel for. Middle-aged women confusing each other. Well, me confusing you. Contact was Jodie Foster in space.
Yeah.
Arrival was what's her name talking to octopus aliens.
Amy Adams. Yeah.
Amy Adams. Interstellar was Matthew McConaughey, Timothy Chalamet. And the one you just said,
Arrival. Look,
Arrival.
no, into what?
Anyway, all space stuff. Who
Yeah.
did Blade Runner 2?
That was Denis Villeneuve as
Okay,
well.
let's
Yeah.
go with that. I loved that Blade Runner 2049. The ennui. I felt only a French person could get that. I think because you and I are both real sci-fi fans. We love sci-fi,
Yeah.
not as like, oh, it's a geek, like for us, sci-fi is quite mainstream. And I think it's fair to say he's a visionary director in terms
Yeah.
of, yes, he had the original look of Blade Runner, but the feel and scope of that, the second Blade Runner. And
Mm.
I have to say, I like Dune. I did kind of respond to this thing that it looked like a very long 80s music video. And
Hmm.
I went to see it with some old school friends, you know, Morgan, and he said,
Yeah.
"Well, I wonder if anyone will crack a smile in June too," because there was no laugh. It was all very, very serious. And I said, "I think June
It-
2's gonna still be serious." But
I d-
go
I
on.
beg to differ on June 1, if that's what he was suggesting, that no one cracked a smile. I mean, Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho was just warmth and love and joy, as
Yeah,
much as there could be joy.
he was the jolliest of, yeah,
Yeah.
a scenario. But I think there was more frivolity in the second one. I just thought the second one, I'd never seen anything like it. It was so visionary, and it was like a billion and one like sci-fi illustrations realized, and the spaceship that came over and it was all reflecty. Everything just looked stunnerella. I was like so blown away. And then the sound design. Let's talk about, because I went to watch it. I watched a 70 millimeter. I'm hoping you'll
Yeah.
explain to me what that means. Um, but the chair was like, ah, and it was
Did
so
you have did you have
no. They weren't
go on?
they weren't vibrating chairs, like, you know,
Just
what's
because,
that like?
okay.
It wasn't like one of those cinemas that squirts you with water and rocks you or anything.
I
But they should.
I once went to one of those, an early version, and my it turned out my seat was broken. I was like, what? Everyone's squealing, and anyway, carry on.
Did you get your money back?
I didn't know. It was part of it was one of the theme parks in America. So,
Oh,
I've forgotten which one, but like
yeah.
Universal or something.
Well, I think they should do a squirty, shaky version, but I just thought the sound, I felt so surrounded by, I really want to see it in an IMAX because I felt it was such an intense out of body experience being in this completely different place. And
Mm,
when they went into the fighting arena and they decided to do it all completely washed out, I was
yeah.
like, this is cinema. This is exciting. And
That was my favorite bit too, I think.
I don't know if it was a favorite, but I had never seen anything. I was like, never experienced anything like that. And I just thought, this must be what it means to be a visionary. So not only do you tell the actors what to do and how, but you have to kind of like have the foresight to create something completely different. I don't
Mm.
know many other directors like that, maybe Ridley
Not
Scott.
not working in the mainstream. I mean, Ridley Scott now, I mean, maybe at one point, I mean, maybe he still is, but I think he's making stuff now that is questionable, or that doesn't always get met with that kind of reaction. I'm not sure like about Ridley Scott these days. But yeah, certainly in the mainstream, I love. I don't think there's anybody, or there's very few doing what Denis Villeneuve is doing now.
Yeah. And it's mad that a studio's trusted him with that much money.
I think with this, particularly like the second one, the studio has had quite a hand in how it was shaped, because um yeah, I mean, I was a bit disappointed with it after the first one, which I thought was a masterpiece. I thought was
Oh,
brilliant, the first one.
so you preferred the first one to, yeah.
Yeah, so did you not?
No,
Because
I mean that
we
this is
haven't
so
talked
weird.
about this at all, have we? Before now, this is
No, I mean this is, I am absolutely gobsmacked that you preferred the first one, but I love it. I think it's great that we have counterpoints because normally we, you know, we don't always agree on everything, even though we're great friends. But I found, I think, you know me, I'm a bit of a soft girl in that if the film leads me to the depths of despair, that's where I go. But I'm always hoping for an uplift. And the way they decided to end, obviously, was all very bleak. And the whole thing was, there was a lot of suffering throughout. Not
in the
saying that,
first one or
yeah,
the second. Yeah,
in the first one, not saying in the second one that that wasn't repeated, but it was I suppose it was like, I can't think of anything to compare it to. I was going to compare it to The Empire Strikes Back, but that's wrong. The ending of Empire Strikes Back felt like the ending of Dune 1, and you're like, oh. So I think I liked the rallying of Dune 2, and I felt there were more little episodic moments that I knew would be resolved to the benefit of the Atreides. And I think it was a really grown-up adult affair, Dune, the first one by Denis. And as you and I spoke at length, having been raised on quite a camp David Lynch Dune, I think it shocked me a little bit.
Camp, but also quite disturbing and unsettling, as is David Lynch
In general.
generally.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
but comparing,
Sorry,
yeah, go on.
I just wanted to say, hold that thought, because it's probably a good thought. I'm interrupting. But you still love Dune 2, but Dune
I
1.
like it. I like it. Maybe I'll grow to love it when I watch them both together back to back. But I don't at this moment love it. There were lots of failings for me in this one.
Interesting. Oh, and sorry, should we jump back to that thought I interrupted? Did you file it?
Only that, the more as I was watching the second one, and I know that, right, to put the Lynch film into context, at the time it was lambasted, people ridiculed it, people disliked it, it didn't do well commercially, but it's since gained, a cult following, and as often happens, it's been reappraised, and lots of people appreciate it now. And I'm one of those. I didn't dislike it. I was a kid when it came out, very young, and I did watch it, and I liked it, through the innocent eyes of a kid. And I still like it today. I appreciate it more today, for lots of reasons. I know David Lynch hates it.
Yeah,
Don't quote
because
me on that.
he didn't get a final cut, did he?
No.
Yeah.
So where am I going with this? As I was watching the part two, Villeneuve's part two, I was reminded of the things that Lynch had included, and the things that he maybe did better, because there was lots left out of this film from the book, that I thought were important to include, and really missed as a fan of the book.
Yeah.
Well, just on that level, really missed being in there, but I did think a lot of it was important to include. That
Yeah.
wasn't.
I think I hear that. What kind of bits did you really want to be in there that weren't?
So I mean, the biggest thing, I'm a big fan of the Baron, from a really, he's a hideous character in it, and in the book he's repulsive, and yes, he's repulsive in Villeneuve's Dune.
Yeah.
Physically you see that, that, and he's clearly, despotic, and really, 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 really nasty, but
Yeah.
it's implied. And in the book, that he's a pedophile. He has a sexual relationship with Fade Routher, his nephew, so there's the whole incest thing there, and he's awful to everybody. He tortures, he does his experiments, he's a torturer,
Yeah.
and that's really kind of whitewashed in these films. I thought it would delve into that more. At the end of the first film, I thought, great, we'll really get to see what a nasty bastard he is in the second film. And you didn't. There was that moment off camera where he killed 2 women, but you didn't see that. I mean, I'm really a bit messed up. I like seeing that stuff on screen. Not everybody does, fair enough, and it doesn't always have to be explicit, but in this case I was kind of looking for more
You wanted more depth to your light and shade. I get that.
Thank you, Mira. You said it very succinctly. That's exactly it. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, that's making me reflect on your observation that perhaps the studio had a hand in keeping it Hollywood. because at the end
Yeah.
of the day, when you look at the cast, apart from potentially, I don't know, Christopher Walken, they have picked a cast of very
Yeah.
pop as in popular, pop as in, to
Yeah.
attract, those young theatre going audiences, that potentially if you were going to have something a
Sorry.
little bit more edgy on the
Mm.
peripherals, that cast is that cast going to do that?
Well, yeah, and we talked before about before the first film came out, I had been worried about the casting because it was all those the hottest properties
Mm,
in Hollywood that have been cast in the roles. And as it turned out, they were all brilliant, and they
mm,
all, instead of, making it about them or putting in big performances that were unnecessary, were all pitch perfect, I thought. And it was
mm.
all about the material. And it was a little bit more off in this film. I don't think I love Florence Pugh generally, but I don't think she was quite up to it. But I think the role was maybe a little bit underwritten for her
Yes,
as well, so it's not entirely her fault.
I felt her role was very exposition-y,
Yeah.
and it reminded me a bit of, Carrie Fisher describing the chunky dialogue that Princess Leia had, you
Mm.
know. Yeah, that's really interesting. I will say, whenever Florence or Zendaya popped up, my brain always goes, that's Zendaya, that's Florence, which
Yeah, it's distracting.
it's really distracting. And I really enjoyed the cast, but
Mm.
I have an issue where I've watched Euphoria with Zendaya, and
Mm.
I think she's a fantastic actress. She's a very real actress. And so, for example, she's a drug addict and she will often be weeping or just going through withdrawals. And I
In Euphoria,
in
not in real
Euphoria,
life.
not hopefully not in real life, although everyone makes their own choices and we don't judge. But I felt that she was very hampered by the law of Arrakis, which is that if you're a Fremen, you don't cry, you never spill your tears. So
Mm.
I also felt the rewriting of Cheney to be she needed to be like, Paul was like a hero becoming an anti-hero, and she needed to be the one that stood against him to say, remember what you're doing here, don't do this. And then I felt her role was very much diminished to be that her job was to be the one standing against Paul
Mm.
Atreides. And so repeatedly it cut back to Zendaya looking soulful and pouting, but
Mm.
without her going into that realm of like real emotion, not real emotion, like overwrought emotion in Euphoria.
Mm.
I just kept thinking that Zendaya, and it kept going back to that like angry glare and the pout
Mm.
again and again and again. And I felt, I don't know, it that
Mm.
puzzled me, that choice. I didn't think it needed to be explained to the audience so clearly. Shaney is angry with Paul
Mm.
because
Mm.
um yeah. What did you think of uh Christopher Walken? Because I was very excited that to me, I was surprised to hear that Mark Kermode had a grump about him being too Christopher Walken. I thought he was incredibly restrained and he really matched. I thought it was lovely to see understated Walken. I kind of wanted him to do a little dance, but did
He
you?
was very restrained. So in answer to your question, what I thought of him, I was really underwhelmed. I mean, I think this was bad casting as well, actually. I love Christopher Walken, of course I do, like
Mm,
everybody else. He's fantastic. But he didn't have much presence, I didn't think, as Shaddam. And I thought he was frail, uh and just a bit drab. I don't know whether that was him or the way the character was written, but I thought it was disappointing.
yeah, I thought it was I thought it was a weird interpretation of an emperor. But
Yeah,
oh look, is that Roscoe or Lily?
it's Lily.
Hi, Lily. Um, yeah, I was just very grateful to see Christopher Walken up there. Um,
Yeah.
I did think, did you watch him in that? It was an Apple series where
Yes.
the conceit is that they kind of have to clock out of their brains when they go to work. And he
Yes,
has this
Severance.
yes, severance, and he has a really tender, gentle romance, and I felt he was channeling that, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, when you're the when you're the space emperor in a space opera, there needs to be, in a way, it's
You
enough.
know,
You're Christopher Walken, but in a way, we want a bit more. I don't know.
and in the end, you know, that was a really kind of anticlimactic, the
Yes.
the showdown at the end, because he had never been built up to be this
Mm.
um imposing emperor character, really. I suppose it was just
Yeah. Yeah, I felt the same. I felt a bit like, have we missed? I mean, one of the things we missed is the navigators,
yeah,
who are
yeah,
these weird and wonderful beings that come in a tank. They're like big, you know, they're so intelligent. They have these weird bodies and they breathe in gas tanks and stuff. And I feel like maybe we missed an encounter with the emperor addressing them and stuff
yeah.
like that, which would have built up his place. I mean, really, he is the one who's pulling all the strings and arranging all the family betrayals. So
Mm.
unless that was meant to be a counterpoint, like, look, this little old man. I think Mark
Yeah.
Kermode said with an old lady haircut, which I thought was very ungenerous.
I mean, you can read, I suppose you can read that into it. It really feels like it should have been, they should have planned a trilogy, because there's so much missed out that, you know, it felt really, for me watching this, the film was so focused on the main thrust of the plot in the book, and getting the political stuff out and the revenge plot, I suppose,
Yeah.
done, but it didn't have room for the nuance and
Mm.
the kind of the magic of Dune, the as you said, the guild navigators, and the um it really kind of glossed over Paul's emerging ability to see into the multiverse.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes. Where was that? That's
yeah, I think it was touched on, and that was that, you know.
Yeah. I wonder if we've been spoiled a little bit because in the old days we had Peter Jackson's Lord of the Ring trilogy. Now
Mm,
we get, you know, the Lord of the Rings is a series on Netflix that will probably be 50,000 with hobbits and Lenny Henry. And
mm,
maybe we, you know, the only time June's really been serialized, it's been a bit, oof. But
yeah,
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I think I was very excited for him to create the universe, but within that, there were some things that were like blanded down a little bit. So, for example, the Fremen have this big pool full of the water of their ancestors,
mm,
and it's a moment in the film, and it just looks like a Roman bath. And then
yeah,
the bit where I thought, you know, you could have lent a bit of like woo to that, and then the bit where Paul drinks, you know, the poison.
the
It's
water of life. Yeah.
water of life, which is, you know, sandworm sputum or whatever it is. And in the book, he
Just
becomes aware
someone
that
to-
he knows everything that all of the mothers of his generation going back know.
yeah.
And I was thinking there would have been like even something of like 2001 ending hallucinogenic weirdness.
Yeah. Do you know what I think did that better? And I know a lot of people hate this,
Okay.
but the Book of Boba Fett. I don't know if you watch that, but
I did like the Book of Boba Fett.
when I like it, when he had his hallucinatory journey,
Hmm.
I thought that was I was thinking of that as I was watching this, and I thought that was much better done.
It's interesting, isn't it? You and I are really kind of open to the wee and the woo and the craziness.
Mm.
And I guess that they did have to kind of streamline it to make
Mhm.
it a Hollywood thing.
They missed out the whole, and I know that Denis Villeneuve was quite upset about this decision, but he left out the Thufir Hawat. Um, I don't know how much of that character was going to be in this film, but in the book, that whole Mentat storyline where he becomes the Emperor's Mentat
Yes.
is really interesting, and because of the divided loyalties, and that's not in this.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that, but you're right. Yes, there's the whole thing about he goes over to the other house And then everyone's like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm trying to, by being here, I may be able to help, but also I'm saving my own skin and I'm kind of a hostage. Yeah, I mean, so I'm just looking for my power cable. Hang on. Ugh. Yeah, I feel like, here it is. I feel like maybe what you and I are having a little bit of a sad feeling about is that we wanted to see more,
Yeah.
because it felt like in the hands of this director, it, he could have done all that amazing stuff and it would have been really cool, and we've missed out a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. Should have made it a trilogy and put all that stuff in.
So when you say made it a trilogy, you're talking about taking the book Dune and splitting that into 3 parts, because the way I
Yeah.
saw it, they have left it wide open, not only for Anna Taylor-Joy to join the cast in the next movie, but they're going to go on and do Dune Messiah. That I
Yeah.
don't. So it's interesting that they planned it that way,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. And
Um,
some of this stuff may well, show rear its head in that film. Alia will certainly have a bigger role. She wasn't a presence here at all, except in the womb and that flash forward.
hmm.
Yeah.
I did miss a little baby toddler with a Bene Gesserit voice going, he's going to kill you, or whatever it is. But yeah,
Yeah, that may be my favorite part of David Lynch's film.
I know, amazing. But let's talk about some of the stuff we liked. I loved how every conversation happened on atop a sand dune. So very important to go and get the sand dune. I loved the soundtrack. I loved Rebecca. Oh, I always forget her surname.
No, I've forgotten Rebecca.
Middle-aged. This is one of those middle-aged
I've
women.
interviewed her, but I can't think. I've gone blank.
I have to say, having watched her on the interview round, she seems very full of joy. Is it Rebecca Ferguson?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's something about her because obviously she's Scandi, so there's
Mm,
a difference about her. I think she's great. I think she's really commanding.
yeah.
So I really enjoyed her.
Mhm,
Javier Bardem was brilliant. I
mhm,
loved the friendships and the relationships that you saw going on within the Fremen, and I just thought everything looked like a space movie that I wanted to see. Like all the troops, all the spaceships, the big
mhm,
arena with everything. I thought Austin Butler was great. He
mm,
was so horrible. And for
mm,
me, when I first saw him in, like, I don't know, Sword of Shannara or something, look
mm,
it up. It's it's terrible but great. And like, to turn someone so pretty into someone so horrible and scary, I thought was wonderful.
mm,
And I just really enjoyed being in that universe. Um, I did have my worries about Timothy Chalamet being Paul Atreides as he kind of goes on and ascends. And I
mm,
thought he held the focus of the movie so well. Like he's like in my head, he's like a sprig of a boy. But I felt like, that yeah, just I could hear what's his name? Patrick Stewart's
do
voice
it.
in my head. This is
Yeah.
acting. I really enjoyed that. And I enjoyed the different generational stuff. So it didn't feel like a really young bunch of actors. I love the depth. You don't get that, like those cross-generationals acting together and
Mm,
around each other, because a lot
mm,
of movies are, if it's not an epic movie, like I guess there are people making less films where you're likely to have a doddering old emperor and
mhm,
revolutionaries. I
mm.
don't know. I don't know if that made sense. Strike that from the record, my lad. Anyway, those were some of the things I liked. How about you?
Yeah,
Did
I
you have
think
any
I
highlights?
agree. I mean, I think I agree with you. With those actors that you called out. Yeah, Rebecca Ferguson, great. Um, and Timothy Chalamet, Timothée Chalamet, as I like to call him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, I think was good enough. The thing with him is because he's from that acting generation that shares so much on social media, is often hard to separate the actor
Mm.
from the person or the persona, the social media persona. And it really has grated with both of these films how much he has shared on social media behind the scenes and stuff. I don't want to see him in the desert going like this with his
Yeah,
co-stars.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I want
yeah.
to buy into the idea that he's Paul Atreides. But that side, I think he was good. Actually, the thing that I think he was best in was that film with Steve Carell where he plays the drug addicted son. Have you seen that?
Wow, that
Really
is
good.
a real, that's not a film for me, and I watched it because he was in it, and that was a really hard watch.
But wasn't
Really
he good?
hard. He is good. I think it's interesting that there are these actors. We're in such a like a social media, how many millions of views. I really rejoice that we do have actors like Austin Butler and Timothée Chalamet, who they really want to immerse themselves in the art and the method of acting, to the point where Rebecca Ferguson was like saying, I've learned that some people have their process on set. I saw an interview and she was like, we do a take and I'm like, yay, who wants to play backgammon? And everyone else is like deep in their character. But I think that's very gratifying that they do kind of care about their art. But I agree, the
Yeah.
separation of church and state, the separation of the movie set to Instagram,
Mhm.
it's a tough one, isn't it? We need a bit
Mm.
of mystique.
But especially in something so immersive and important and beloved as Dune, you
Mm.
know. And yeah, but anyway, that's just that's just my bugbear. But I thought Austin Butler allayed my fears. I was worried he might not nail it, but you know, whether that was down to the black teeth when he was with the fighting and the
Mhm.
black and white fighting sequence.
Yeah.
Very menacing.
There,
Um,
there were
yeah,
some gratuitous moments. Someone pointed out to me. So his character, what's his name again? Fade. I can never say it.
Ralther or Rother. They pronounce it Rother in the film, but I've always said Fade Ralther. But
Fade Rother. When to kind of demonstrate that he's an utter bastard, he stabs some of his like handmaidens.
yeah,
And it was noted like this is kind of misogynist. In order to know that he's bad, we need to have these scantily clad maidens, which is kind of flipped because then the Bene Gesserit gets the better of him and impregnates herself from him.
yeah.
But it's interesting because in that house, there in the books, I kind of remember the violence was against younger men.
Mhm.
I don't know if I've got that wrong, but I
But
someone said
like,
I felt that was a bit misogynist. He had to stab these girls to show he was a baddie.
yeah, I hadn't. Sorry, I just I hadn't thought of it that way, but that's right. And a better way to have made him look like an utter bastard, which is another thing that I was upset was left out, was focusing on him cheating in the fights with the poisoned
Mm.
knife and the um you know, that was left out, and that would have been a better way.
Well, it showed basically the implication was, because I completely forgot this, the implication was normally they would poison people, but his uncle was like, don't poison them in order to say, you know, if you can kill these fellas, then you can be my heir, you know, we'll get rid of the other one. But I think you're right. The fact it kind of maybe that made it more of a kind of plot point about him being betrayed by his uncle to show his steel rather than to show that he's generally an utter bastard who just drugs everybody he has to fight.
Mm.
Yeah, interesting.
Mm.
But a joyful and happy cinema experience for both of us.
On the whole, yeah, my popcorn was not good though.
Oh no, what did you go for?
Oh, I had like normal cinema sweet popcorn. I'm not a salt popcorn girl, but you know, sometimes it's just a little bit overdone. So it was a bit burnt. And sometimes you get the dregs, you know, the
Oh,
little bits. And that's both of those things. So
that's why
yeah.
I always go for, you're being very polite and not doing a big yawn. Do a big yawn. I will
No,
come
I've got
for
a
you.
cough. I'm sorry. I'm
It's all right. I watched this thing called The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and every reunion, one of the ladies is so long-winded, the host starts yawning, and it's become a meme now. So I'm happy for us to go into that canon. But I feel like one of the things I was most excited about was to watch this movie and then talk about it with you mostly you, and then other friends. And it's been a really long time since I've had a movie, an event movie to look forward to talk to with somebody at length and have this discussion. So that
Yeah.
was good. Um, I thought the creatures, the set designs, you know, that we talking about the arena with those black creatures,
Mm.
they were great. They were spooky. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
They were, and that decision to that was odd, and I liked it to make that bit black and white.
yeah. Normalize odd stuff, which is why we're disappointed he couldn't have done weirder stuff. But
Yes.
yeah. So I wonder what will be our next movie that we both get so excited about. Is there anything that you're looking forward to on the horizon that's coming up?
Move. Well, I just you said you nearly said move. I was just picking up on
Movie.
that.
I thought, oh, there's something called movie. I just trust you.
Here's one. The next thing that I'm kind of intrigued by is the new Planet of the Apes film, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I've just done um a lot of interviews with a lot of the people involved in that film for Total Film magazine, and I really like the reboot trilogy that we've had already, and this one is set about 300 years in the future after the end of War for the Planet of the Apes,
Oh,
but still a way off where the original 1968 Planet of the Apes starts. So I'm really interested
wow.
to see what kind of film that's going to be, given that the studio that owns the franchise now is Disney, when it was 20th Century Fox before, and then Disney bought 20th Century Fox, and so now there's a
Wow.
different approach to it, but we'll
That's
see.
what that's so mad when properties get bought. So presumably it won't be anyone who had anything to do with the last movie on this movie.
No,
Movie.
actually, it's the same writers, and I think the producers at Fox that were involved in uh, the original trilogy transported over, so there is a continuity there. Um, so yeah, and that's partly why what makes it all the more interesting,
Yeah.
because how do they deal with the new directive from Disney to make it more family friendly?
I mean, it's violent AF, like when you think about it. So that will be interesting. I mean,
But yeah,
eventually Disney's just going to own everything, right? That's what's happening.
probably.
The other thing I wanted
What
to
about
talk to
you?
what about me? What am I looking forward to? Well, this is it. I'm kind of scanning the horizon. Oh, I know what is going to be good. I hope. There's a book called The Three Body Problem,
Yes.
and I don't even know if I got the name of that book wrong. If I have, I'm sorry. I'll put it in
Well,
the
that's
thing.
what the series is called.
Yes, and yes, and the book is I really hated the book. It was really annoying. There was lots of like very upsetting stories and setup about like I think it's communist China and some really nasty stuff happens. I've read the first two books in the trilogy. A lot of it's above my head. A lot of people love these books, and then I started watching. There is a foreign language three body problem on Prime that I started trying to watch, but I've been really struggling with that because you have to buy some episodes. Some you can watch for free, some you have to buy. And I'm thinking, I only half watch foreign movies because I'm always on my laptop and miss the subtitles. So I am excited for that because I'm hoping that series will make me really enjoy the books that most of my sci-fi loving communities loved. But I don't
Mm,
know anything about that, so I'm a bit scared about it. Um,
okay.
in terms of like movies and I guess Marvel franchises and stuff. I'm wondering, like, what's going to happen to Baby Yoda? I'm a big Baby Yoda fan. I'm a big Mandalorian fan.
Yeah.
But the thing I have been really hugely excited about that I've been waiting for over a decade, it feels like, is the Community movie.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So apparently, what I hear is all the actors are in place, even Donald Glover, and they've written it. So that will be like Community got me through a really hard breakup. Remember my ex who lived near Basingstoke that you know?
Yeah.
So I remember being heartbroken.
Sorry.
I remember,
Oh.
yeah. I mean, it brings that reaction in me now. But I remember
Yeah.
being so heartbroken and just mainlining Community, and that was great. So that's what I'm
Okay.
looking forward to. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so well, I guess that brings us to the end of our
I I thought you were going to show your Baby Yoda
yeah.
item
Hold your item
because
up.
look, we both got one. Mine's got Darth Maul inside
Okay.
though.
Okay. Okay, so hold it so it's both still and let's be still and then this might be able to be a cover. Okay. But then if I put this up for a June thing, everyone's gonna be like, why is Baby Yoda in June?
Nice, yeah.
Feeling-
Oh well, what about? I don't think you've got these,
Oh yes,
but
yes. Show the so tell us a bit about these and what they are and how you got them.
well, these are June original June 1984. Didn't it come out that film, the David Lynch film, whatever year it was? Original trading cards released promotionally to go with that film, and they've got unopened. They've got the original bubble gum inside.
Yay. And that is our beloved Carl McLaughlin, who we've loved
Yeah.
forever. And what's the name of the actress on the other one? I can't remember.
What's their name? Is it
She
Virginia Madsen?
she was Paul's mum, wasn't she, in the first one?
No, was she?
Oh, no, I don't know. Are we both Googling?
I haven't Googled. I feel like it's Virginia Madsen.
Oh, but how have you resisted opening these, Kim?
Well, because look at them, they're perfect. And they've been sealed for all this time. It's like opening a sarcophagus. I can't.
How did they get into your hands?
There's where I live in Hastings, there's another record shop, not just ours. There's and they do comics too, and little bits and bobs like this. They're called Wow and Flutter, and they're our friends. And that's where Adam got them for me from.
Oh, Adam is a good husband.
Yes, he
10
is.
out of 10 for that. Well, I'm really sad that our chat's coming to an end. Kim, what could we talk about next time? What shall we reunite on? Should we wait for a movie or what shall we do?
Um,
If there's anything
well,
you'd like to chat about, that would be lovely.
no, I don't like talking very much.
I know. I do feel lucky every time I get you on my channel because you like to interview and stay behind the camera and I get you on the camera.
I'm doing a talk next week in
In
Brighton,
Brighton. Yes. Are you
in
excited?
real life, in person, in front of an audience. So that's scary.
Do you know what you're wearing?
I think so. I've got a leopard print dress. I think I'm going to wear that.
Yeah, that's one tick then. Always take a spare and some clean bits and bobs just in case someone drives past you and splashes you. That's what I've learned from
Okay.
watching stuff on telly. But also,
Okay.
do you have your books to hand so we can talk about them a little
Oh,
bit?
yeah.
Why We Love the Matrix by Kim Taylor Foster.
And I have to move off camera to get the other one.
Okay, that's okay. We can look at your cool things in your background. I got Kim those Star Wars posters, everybody.
Oh, you can see them. Yeah, these ones.
Yes. I need to get you the first one, A New Hope. Why We Love Die Hard by Kim Taylor Foster. Yay!
Those are my books.
And yeah, I remember there's a clip of you talking to Keanu, or he is aware of your book.
Yes, that is
So
correct. During lockdown, uh, when the uh most recent Matrix film was released, Matrix Resurrections, I interviewed Keanu Reeves and Carrie Ann Moss for that, and because it was lockdown, it was remote, so it was over Zoom. Otherwise, I would have put a copy of this book, which had just come out at that time, in his hand. But
yeah.
so I just had to show it to him on the Zoom screen. So
What did you think of that a Matrix movie?
I thought it was great, very
I,
good.
I struggled with it.
Smart.
I think it was very high concept, and as you know, a lot of that whooshes past my head.
That's not true.
I don't. I think I recognize that the filmmakers had grown beyond where the point I'd enjoyed the first Matrix movies. It was a more philosophical, esoteric, you know, connections being made outside of my. And I wish I'd gone in with that mindset to enjoy it in a more cerebral way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well put. Yes.
Yeah.
But those are the things that I thought were good about it. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, in order to end without a sad ending, like an Empire Strikes Back ending, where Kim goes back into carbonite and we never see her again, I'm going to say if anyone is watching has made it this far and you'd like Kim and I to talk about books or movies or stuff, drop the suggestion in the comments. And if I can tease her from her sand cave, we'll see if that happens. The dove from above, remember? But Kim, thank you so much. This is the fake goodbye, so we can do it for the video and then I'll say goodbye properly.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye. I'll put links to all Kim's stuff underneath as well. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Meet my friend Kim. She loves her film.